So to get us started for this session, well, you're welcome everyone, and my name is Mirabelle, and I am the creative director for Growy. And what Growy is that we're a design studio and a design startup that connects lots of young emerging designers with experts in the industry. And a bit about me is that I have been a recipient of several scholarships in the past, and including the recent and one of the most prestigious scholarships, which is the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program. And today we are simply going to be focusing on how do you answer your essay questions. Before I begin, we have just 1 hour, and I'm going to quickly share an introduction about myself. Before I got into any of these things, I first of all used to volunteer a lot. And this was me at my very early stages in life, just working with lots of young people and volunteering in mosquito-infested places. And this was also me as well in one of those moments in my life when I was very confused about what it was that I wanted to do with my life. Along the line, I they say your friends can either make or mar you. And one of the things I did was to really hang out with very, very interesting people who really super inspired me. You're welcome, Ubi, and you're welcome, Salam. And recently, I began to speak a lot at conferences, just trying to network with a lot of interesting individuals. So this is me speaking at a creative event here in the UK as well. But this was also thanks to the scholarship that I got. This was also thanks to the scholarship that I received that helped me to really put my work out there. So what a scholarship does for you is that it helps you amplify the past work that you've been doing and also helps you to reach out to more people in future. So I studied entrepreneurship and innovation at the University of Edinburgh based on the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship. And this is me. You can see me somewhere inside there in the front with the blue shirt. That was me a few weeks ago speaking back to entrepreneurship and innovation students, telling them about my experience as a startup founder at the moment. But this is just a brief background of what the scholarship did for me. And I know many questions are around how do I get started in my scholarship journey? What do I do? First thing I want to tell you is favor, or rather, fortune favors the prepared. And before we get into preparation, what are some of the things that you do to get yourself prepared for a scholarship? Well, first of all, before I started my scholarship, one of the things I did was I played the long-term game unintentionally. And what I did was that I built my portfolio. So my portfolio was that I had started a community, I would say an organization called Blank Papers. The second thing I did that you can also do if you're applying for scholarships is I volunteered a lot. And this volunteering, what does volunteering do for you? It just lets more people know about the work that you are doing. Then the next thing I did preparing for your scholarship was that I documented much of my work and my process. Because if you're trying to tell people that, hey, this is what I've done, this is why you should give me the scholarship, where's the proof that that's what you've done? So one of the things I did that you can also do is that you document your work and your process on social media. And one of the ways that I documented my work and my process on social media was simply through building myself a website and also using Instagram and LinkedIn to just write out the numbers and say, oh, I went here today, here's who we impacted. And you can literally do the same thing and similar thing for yourself. That way, when people are asking you for your numbers, because one of the very important things when it comes to scholarships is don't just say, I made impact in this organization that I was at. Like, what's the number? Remember, show, don't tell. Always show what you're doing. And then the next thing I did was that I had some professional work experience and referees. Now I know that some of you might not have worked in the past, so I'll also get to how You can also use the people that you volunteered for in the past as your referees. So I already had some work experience for myself. And don't forget, if you're going to get referees when you're applying for some scholarships, very, very important to maintain relationships with your lecturers so that they can give you very good references at the end of the day. And also, I had a very, very good CGPA. Quite all right when I was graduating. So that's it. Fortune favors the prepared. Played a long-term game. And now, let's just quickly get into the crux of the day. How do you answer your essay questions? Now, like I said, this is not a session that is explaining to you the type of scholarship that you should apply to. You can apply to Chevening, you can apply to the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program, you can apply to Erasmus Mundus, you can also apply to several other scholarships from other countries. But this is basically just a session that is explaining to you how do you answer your essay questions. And that's just what we are here to address today. And I hope that you can all hear me clearly and that I am loud enough for you to hear me. Just let me know in the comment section if you're good to go and you're ready to receive some of the answers to some of the questions that you've been looking forward to. Okay, sounds good. Amazing. You guys are awesome. Yes. Thank you, Halirat. Thank you, Ubi. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Samsung S something something. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, well, let us go into how therefore we can answer some of these questions. Okay. So the first things first, this is exactly the question that if you're applying for the Mastercard Foundation Scholars Program, this is one of your questions, right? So it says, tell us about a current idea or project you are working on that demonstrates your track record of leadership and service. How would your leadership experience contribute to addressing climate change and sustainability? And I'm sure they'll probably tell you that you should only write in 250 words or 500 words. Thank you, Adams. Thank you, Dorothy, for confirming that you can hear me. So this is such a very packed question. First things first, how do you answer this question? Okay, if you have any essay question, the way you should go about it, first of all, is okay, 100 to 400 words. You guys are lucky. In my time, I was asked to put all my life story in 250 words. But let's go on. This question now, I have dissected it into 1, 2, 3. Now they're saying this is how to unpack your essay question. Pay very close attention. They're asking, in fact, let me just go back. Read it again, you understand. Tell us about a current idea. Idea. That's your own work or project. Project maybe another person's work or somewhere you were volunteering at. Great. Tell us about it. Yes. And how and that demonstrates your track record. Now, what is track record? Track record of leadership and service. Some of the concerns some of you have is that you feel like you don't have leadership experience, right? Or you say, how do I explain my leadership experience? Right? Okay, we're unpacking this question now. That's the first part too. How would your leadership experience now contribute to addressing climate change and sustainability? Some of your questions are, hey, I work in women development too. How am I supposed to explain how am I inside climate and sustainability now? Okay, it's all right. We're getting there. Now to unpack your essay questions. To unpack your essay questions. To unpack your essay question, this is what this, let's break down this question. That question is asking you for two things. One, tell us about your past. That is your track record of leadership and service. So you use half of it and talk about your past. And you also talk about your future. How is the course going to help you? Now, simply what they're saying in that question. Are you following this? Pay close attention. What they are asking is this question is, why should we give you this scholarship? What have you done in the past to merit this? Why do you need this scholarship now? Why do you need this course you are studying now? And what will you do with it tomorrow to help others? Have I broken down the question for you? Is this still looking like jam question from this whole thing, this whole bit to here? Why should we give it? Have I broken that down for you? Now that's exactly how you should be answering, or you should look at your essay questions. Break it down to the barest minimum. That way you can easily understand. That way you can easily understand. Evelyn, just increase your volume to the loudest, okay? Thank you. That way you can easily understand what must your past occurrence. This is an example of a question that I'm answering at the moment. So this is for just a particular essay. So that's it. That's how to break down the question. Now let me give you another example of what I said in the past. So I'll explain it. This is the exact essay question I was asked during my own scholarship essay for the Mastercard Foundation. And look at all these plenty things. And I was asked to write it only in 250 words. And this is me explaining to you how I did that. The question said, reflecting on your life so far, tell us how you meet the key selection criteria for the Scholars Program. You should include information on your academic achievements and barriers to education that you have faced. We are particularly welcoming of those who identify as women, refugees, or displaced, or those with disabilities, as we understand. If you identify with this, please blah blah blah. Now, as you can see, I have broken down this question into three key areas, three key questions. In one question, they are asking three questions. Tell us how you meet the key selection criteria. As you are telling us, what did you achieve in the past? And then, what are also your barriers? What are stopping you? Are you paying close attention? That's how you should be breaking down your essay questions when you are faced with these particular types of questions. So whether it is Chevening you are applying for or for any other thing, that is what you should be doing. Break down those questions before you answer them. That helps you understand what they are asking. Now, I'll give you a breakdown again. That one question, how do you meet the key selection criteria? They're saying, what makes you eligible? Why should we give you this scholarship? Why do you want it? Then they're saying, as an undergraduate, what did you accomplish? Were you top of the class? Did you start a business that helped others while in school? Did you supplement your studies with? Just be breaking down everything like you're a child when you're answering questions. This is very, very important so that you write the best essay possible. And they say, what challenges did you face in school? Did you brave all odds? Like, did you have school fees? Did you manage to? For me, for example, one of the challenges I said was that I had a lecturer who who was trying to threaten me that what am I doing with entrepreneurship and social media. But despite all of that, I was able to overcome, that negative thing that she was saying. And I also in my essay mentioned that there were strikes. Nigeria has strikes all the time, right? I said, there were strikes. So see, strike interrupted my school for maybe close to a year for different reasons. Was there war? Did you have mental health issues? Okay. I've spent 10, 15 minutes now breaking down breaking down this particular thing of how to answer these essay questions. Now let's go into what did I answer? How did I answer all these questions? Okay, and I'll give you an exact replica of my answer. You can use the Carl framework, which is context, action, result, and learning. And let's look at it. We've heard of what's it called, the STAR method. Now let's look at the CAR, the context, action, result, and what I learned. This is my own exact essay answer for that very first question I showed you. And this is what I said. Now, I was applying to study business. I was applying to the business school, but I had a background in literature. That was my undergraduate degree. How was I supposed to prove to them that I want to switch from English to business? Should be two different parts of the world. Yeah, two different parts of life. Great. So here was my answer. I said, I was drawn to how new media innovations and social entrepreneurship could change viewpoints, invariably transforming systems after reading Chimamanda Adichie's Purple Hibiscus at 13. What do? You use your own past to explain how the thing connects. One of your key issues is you don't know how to connect the dots, right? We're getting to that. Now, I explained that I come from literature, but because I've seen how people can use words to change lives, I want to use that and learn more in the business school. So I said, oh, it fascinated me, and I was marveled by how someone in the business of storytelling could disrupt mindsets. Now I use the word business because I was going to the business school. And then I also said, I became thrilled to find innovative solutions to pressing human needs. That by my second note, I was going to study entrepreneurship and innovation. Are you seeing how I was dropping those keywords inside of literature for another course instead? So I try to find ways, and you should do the same thing for your own essay. Try and find ways to mix mash things. And I had to go and find what did I do in this life that was businessy. And let me also say it, some of you have the issue of, oh, I've not done enough. I've not done anything. I don't have any impact. If you were course rep, use it to. If you were, if you at one point, don't think that anything that you do is too small. Stop undervaluing yourself. Stop shooting yourself in the everywhere in the body. Stop undermining the things that you've done in the past because you think it's too small, another person doesn't see it as small. So me, I simply said that, look, I was course rep for entrepreneurship. And so I used it and I facilitated communication between my professors and hundreds of undergrads. And I went on to be part of school clubs as well. And in the school club, this is the project that we did, water resistant school bags, and the banners were reduced. So this is the same thing that you should also do. Find find things in your life that are very similar that you've done if you're going for, international relations, if you are going for, whatever course you're going for, find those things and pinpoint them. If you've not had work experience, find those volunteer works that you've done, use them to your benefit. Now, this is by the side, I said include numbers, include story context, include proof and visual image. Now, when I say visual image, when I say visual image, it means paint a story, paint a story with the words that you are saying, you are using. And I've seen some very, very interesting essays from people who went to Harvard that they write really weird, strange things. It's not even an essay, they are just telling stories there. So you feel free, know the kind of school you are going to. Most schools in America, in the US, especially Ivy Leagues, they are quite cool with you writing very weird stories for them. So know it. And another thing when you're writing essays is that I encourage you to stick to one thing or have one thematic focus. I've seen people's essays that they say, "Oh, I studied biology. Um, and after studying biology, I'm applying to this course in mechanical engineering. But also, I own a shop that sells second-hand clothes. After this second-hand clothes, if I have that job in biochemical engineering, I think that I would like to work with women development." I've literally seen essays like that when people try to bring in all their full life stories to to an essay. Nigerians, we know how to do everything in this life. But when you're applying for a scholarship, we don't need you to do everything. You don't need to tell them that you can do everything. No, have you not seen where I wrote there? No sub stories. Don't write any sub story. All the stories of my grandmother, mother died, and my father, uncle, brother, we lived in the deserts for 1 week, and then, I saw there were no trees in the desert, so I planted 3 trees. And the 3 trees, I called my cousin uncle to plant 4 more trees with me, and together we planted the forest. My dear, they've seen it all, oh. They've seen it all. There's no need to write all those sub stories anymore. Just even if there are people who have had authentic sad stories, but you know how to rephrase those, and the people who are reviewing your essays will most likely also be Africans who know the sub stories in this world. So that's something that you should look out for. Don't write sub stories. It's grown now. Now, there's a question someone asked that they said, "What's at the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship?" Now, my bias is this applies to everybody, but because I am from the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship specifically, I can answer more of these Mastercard questions itself. So somebody asked the question of um, what are the scholarship's underlying themes apart from climate change, and how should they be reflected in the application stories? Now, this is not the kind of question you should be asking. Don't ask this type of question. You're asking me what are the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship underlying themes. That shows you've not done your research. It's everywhere. It's online. It's on their website. In fact, the page that you clicked on to see the scholarship is there. If you also want to check the main Mastercard Foundation website, it's there. Check it. Don't wait to be spoon-fed. There are lots of people who are sharing how to get into the scholarship online. So far, are we following? Just give me a thumbs up if you're following. I've broken down how you should break down your essay questions. Break it down like you're a child, like you're writing to it to somebody in grade 4 or grade 5. That's good, thank you. Right now, you break it down like you're writing to somebody in grade 5. Once you've broken down your essay questions, then one question can have three grandchildren inside of it. So here's my approach. When So like I said, don't ask this kind of questions. It just shows that you've not done your own research. So go to the website, find this information for yourself on the website. And for example, I can just answer it for free for you. There is empathy, there is integrity, there is something around servant, not really servant leadership, but like service. Service. So you can use if the foundation says You can, in your essay, somewhere in your essay, say, oh, because, I'm also an empathetic leader, and I recognize that it's also one of the things that the foundation looks out for in people, leaders who can walk in the shoes of others. So use keywords that they've given to you on the website to also answer your own thing. The type of question that you should be asking is rather this one. If my experience doesn't align with climate change, how can I go about it? Forgive me if I'm focusing on climate change. Many other scholarships may not be focusing on climate change, but a good number of others may be focusing on climate change. So I'm going to explain to you how I would approach such a situation. Now, I had someone who, rough example, um, I had someone who did a lot of work with women development. So far, am I just prepare any question you have very soon? I'll answer specific questions. I know that some of you have asked questions in the chat, but I will go back again um to check if you have any questions. But just get your questions ready because this is just a 1 hour session and I do plan to actually keep to time. If your experience doesn't align with climate change, how can I go about it? Okay, first of all, if the criteria says you need to be aligned with climate change, just be honest with yourself. Just really be honest with yourself. Am I qualified? If you're not, then you can leave it and you don't need to go with that particular scholarship. It's like me, if somebody says, how does my experience align with liver radiology? I don't even know what that is. So I wouldn't go in there. So first of all, be honest with yourself. Do you meet their requirements? Do you meet their eligibility? If you don't, you can move away. But if you feel like you meet many of the requirements and somehow you just don't know how to tie back your work to climate change, here's a good example I'll give. So there's someone who I know that um she worked in she worked in women development. She was working to help um young women to live better lives. And she wasn't very sure how she was going to she wasn't very, very sure how she was going to link that back to climate change. So here's what I said to her. Okay, you've helped young women to improve their lives. You've helped in what ways? You've helped young women um to come out of period poverty, number one. Number two, you've also helped them to gain some sort of employment. Three, you've also helped them to gain some money to help their families. How do you link this back to climate change? Well, first of all, I told her that she could say this, that first of all, let's be honest with ourselves. If you are poor, you don't have money. Is it climate change that will, do you even know what climate change is, Seth, if you are poor and you don't have money in the village? No, right? Now I said to her, say that in your essay. That these women you're working with don't really know what climate change is, but they understand the seasonal changes in their farmlands. So you can relate this back by saying that what you have done is that you have instead equipped these women with 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 knowledge on how to make reusable sanitary pads. What is reusable sanitary pads? We know what reusable sanitary pads are. What is that? Is that not circular economy? What is circular economy? Circular economy is simply reusing things rather than throwing things away as waste. You recycle, reuse, refurbish them. And what are you doing? You are reducing landfill of waste materials and instead helping women to find opportunities where there might be impossibilities. And so, you see, think outside the box. So, climate change is not just planting trees, there are so many other ways people are running this thing. So think outside the box. How are you in an extension? Now you see how her period project was linking back to environmental health and sanitation. Now I said, okay, great. If if you've done this now, you can also say that now the women are a bit more comfortable in the sense that you've taught them how to make reusable sanitary pads. You've also taught them some other skills. Now you've also given them some good amounts of knowledge so that they can also use that amount of knowledge to better the lives of their families. And also, you are working on some other projects that will teach the women a little bit about farming and agriculture, based on the project that you're doing. So that's a way that she was able to link her work back to environmental sustainability. Hey, Abraham, stop writing on my slides, okay? Thank you. Don't experiment. Thank you. So that is one way that you can go about it. Um, that's a very good question that you've asked. And yes, what another good question that is a good question is what kind of leadership experience are they looking for? What if I don't have enough experience? Now be honest with yourself. Do you actually have enough experience? If you don't have enough experience, then don't kill yourself. There are some certain scholarships that cater to people with less experience, and there are others that cater to people with more experiences. So any scholarship you're applying to, like for example, if you're applying to an MBA, they need you to have at least some 2 years of work experience. You cannot there's no way that you can, specifically for those kind of MBA programs, you cannot, excuse my language, but you cannot bullshit your way through that. You grab? So just be honest with yourself. Are you eligible? But when we talk about leadership experience doesn't need to mean that you have worked in a workplace before. You can also use your volunteering experience. You volunteered somewhere, and even if you were just an usher or most of my life, I did lots of volunteering. I did so much volunteering. And one important thing that's why when I started this, I said document your work. Remember when I said fortune favors the prepared? Let me refresh your memory back. Fortune favors the prepared. Document your work and your processes on social media so that when it's time for you to give examples of this, you have something back to trace your memory back to, okay, this small thing I did, it reached like 50 people, or it reached like 100 people. So don't underestimate that work that you did in the past, even if it's volunteering for a school project or even if for your mom or some other person. And I had colleagues, Mastercard Foundation Scholars, who came right out of undergrad. They just finished undergrad and moved straight to the scholarship. There are people who worked for 10 years, they moved to the scholarship. It's not a one size fits all thing, to be honest. What was it that those undergrads did that was different? What they did was that they had projects. Maybe they used their final year projects that were more practical to pitch. Maybe they did some internship in the past. They used that. Maybe um they just had lots of volunteering experiences. So many of the scholarships just want to see that you are adding value back to the society. That's really what they want to see, and that you're of service, you're a giver, you're not just a taker. That's mostly what they want to see. Um, and so, if you're preparing for some scholarships, one of the things I did when I was preparing was that I had a slide that I just wrote down the name of the university, the degree name, the country, the years, the scholarship board, the entry date, the deadline, and the link. So you can also take a screenshot of this for your own personal use. It's just a way when you're applying to schools to help you track what kind of schools that are currently offering. scholarships. And I'm going to answer some of your questions now from the chat. I'm going to answer some of your questions now from the chat. So if you have any questions, you can simply ask. Okay, I see Mohammed, you've raised your hand. Yes, do you want to just ask?
Yes, thank you for your session. Really informative. And I have, yes, one question. It's not related to Edinburgh, but Cambridge, Mastercard essay for Cambridge. Yes, actually it asking a really simple question, and I have to answer in 2 pages with no mentioning about limited the number of words or something. So, what I did in my draft, I started first page to tell my personal life story till I got. To undergrad with a scholarship and my research experience and why I am interested in that theme or that master. And in second page, I started to draft why Cambridge and then why Mastercard and what I am expected, and then give back uh, 3 pillars and the conclusion. So, do you think um, um that kind of draft is a bit appealing, or maybe 1 page for talking about my research experience and other work experience as well? Too much, maybe having or mentioning narrative story about some of my experience in volunteering or something, as you mentioned, or more focusing on leadership experience. It will be more valuable to the committee, especially because mentioning research, you have already, I'm not sure of that info, but I have already mentioned in Cambridge application itself. So I'm not sure if the committee of Mastercard sees the whole application, so I'm repeating myself if I'm talking about my research again. Like, I want to
Yeah,
know your
sure.
opinion.
Yeah, I do know a little bit about Cambridge, so I can help answer that question for
Thank you
you.
so much. Yeah.
You're welcome, Mohammed. I see some other hands, but I'll quickly answer Mohammed's. So for Cambridge, it is very, very extremely competitive for Cambridge, as with everything anyway. What you want to do is that you want to make it a bit emotional. How do you do this? I think you should go online and try and find people's essays from Harvard, Stanford, MIT. Those essays, those people who they're a bit weird. It's not weird, but they are not your typical type of essays that you write about your past experiences. Just use them as inspiration so that you can wow them. So if you've written about your past, and so Cambridge wants to see very high flying scholars and very high flying people. So what you can do is rather than just tell your life story about, your workplace and your past and your future. I don't know the specific. I've not seen that question specifically, but based on what you've said, um, what I would do is that I'll leave it as it is right now. Then you go and read other people's essays again, those ones who willingly put their essays online. You can also go on Twitter and type Harvard essay and see what comes up because lots of people share their Harvard or MIT or Stanford, US versions of Ivy League and read them and then come back and refine that. Also check if any past Mastercard Foundation scholar from Cambridge specifically has has written a bit about their essays and how they did that. But um what is the best way to tell your contribution on creative projects in Action? I just think that you should focus on your past work a little bit, what you did. You should also focus on the gaps. They're giving you a scholarship not because you have done everything and not because you know everything, but I talked about gaps in my essay and said, I'm applying for this because I don't know this particular thing. Don't be shy or ashamed to say that. So I said, I've done this work in the past, but I don't have knowledge in this area. That's why I'm looking for this particular course. And here's perhaps what I hope to do with it in future. Um, so don't be afraid to list why you need something, not just because you don't have money, but because you want to bridge a gap in your um research. I see a few people's hands up. Let me see. I don't know who raised their hands first, but maybe it was Oluwa Timileyin. I don't know who raised hands first, but
Yes, thank you. I hope you can hear me.
yes, loud and clear.
Yeah, thank you so much. This session has really been helpful. So my question is, I think, to the leadership aspect. So for someone that have done quite a number of things in leadership, say volunteering and all of that, just trying to get a sense of, should we just like focus on one, say, volunteering experience, or try to fit quite a number of volunteering experience to answer a question, or just focus on one?
To quickly answer that, thank you for being so quick. Love it. To simply answer your question, focus on a theme. Are you, depending on the course you're applying for, are you focusing on, you've worked in agriculture and you're trying to open a hydroponic, is that how they pronounce it, like a hydroponic farm? Focus on that theme of where you're going to. For me, my theme was that I want to open a maker space for creatives. So I didn't care about the 10 million other things I did in the past. My own was I only used one or two specific examples from my past work that focused on that theme of where I was going to hit the nail on the head. Also, some of you, you have gotten Mandela Washington, you have gotten the King's Awards, no problem. Don't go and be writing all of those things that you have. What did you do to get those things? That's what you should focus on, what you did. Um, so yes, it's very, very possible for you to get the scholarship immediately after your undergrad. Very possible, so long as you show them proof you answer the questions correctly. So Ahmed Suleiman, do you want to ask a question?
Thank you, Mirabelle, for letting me. Regarding my question, is using AI for rewriting our essays because those scholarships need limited words. So, is it allowed to rewrite our essays to fit the word limits? Thank you, Mirabelle.
Oh, thank you so much for being very quick. Yes, you are allowed to use AI to fit certain things, to rewrite your essay. So what happens in schools as well is that I see your questions in the chat. I'll come to them as well. Um, if when you're a postgrad, you are always asked to declare any AI usage that you use during your postgrad when you're actually doing the course itself. So if you use AI as a tool, not as an appendage, but use it. You've already written your essay, use it to critique your work, use it to check for loopholes, but don't use it to write your essays because everybody's gonna know. And you're not thinking originally, and you won't use AI alone during your real masters. So um just use it as a way to refine and to critique your work, but I wouldn't encourage you to use it to write your essays totally. You need to be you and unique. um Love it, and then I'll quickly go to the comment section. Love it, if you want to quickly just ask.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I want to ask you for a very quick favor, Mirabelle. Please, can you drop us your email address so that we can actually forward our essay for review? Because I think I'll still set you on LinkedIn, to follow you up because I love your motivation. And then secondly, I'm a graduate of biotechnology and I'm applying to environmental sustainability. So I'm finding it difficult. I did an internship with a company that's into waste recycling, like recycling of waste into useful biofertilizers. So the sustainability aspect of it is cool. I can do that, but just like you say, towards the end of writing your essay, how to, gather yourself together and link it to contributing to climate change and sustainability. I'm really finding issues with that. And then coming to education barrier, someone that had missing scripts, like my own experience with education has always been money issues, national strike, COVID-19, missing exam score as a Nigeria university, always have missing exam score, and I was, kind of affected. So is that enough to make up that essay? And then lastly, I want to
Okay,
ask, I
Robert,
want
can
to
you
chip in.
can you
When you're writing for future, hello?
yeah, can you round that up so that we can I hear the 4 questions you're asking. Can you so we can give space to other people if you don't
Okay,
mind?
okay,
Yes.
okay. When you're writing for when you're writing your future goal, do you need to like give heads up to Mastercard, like beside my academics, Mastercard will help me in this, that. So that's my question.
No, I don't understand that last question. Could you please kindly repeat that?
Okay, what I'm saying is that outside your future goal and academic endeavors, can you say the Mastercard scholarship will equip me with maybe volunteer work, scholarship events to help improve my leadership skills or communication skill? Can you add that to your essay?
Okay, thank you so much for asking the questions. First of all, I'm glad that you're here. And secondly, I'm not reviewing essays, unfortunately. So I would not be, even if you had my emails, I would not be reviewing essays personally, individually. And which is why I have this call, and which is why I have also written how to answer your questions in a very different article. And to your next question as well, I don't know if I remember correctly, but if you've done your work, what I would recommend you to do, especially when things get very confusing, is give yourself space and time. So what I did was that my questions needed 250 answers. So it's 250 words. What I did was that at first I wrote down 1,000 or 2,000 words for one particular question. And then I came back later on, like every day or every week or something, and started cutting down the questions, the answers to fit. The more I researched, the more I read what other people were doing, I would come down and cut my answers. So that's the way that worked for me. I know other people have their own way. And then with that, as the more you just first of all write it out. The more you do that and the more time you give yourself to answer your questions and you go and research more and come back, you will begin to see the dots and you will begin to understand how to tie back your field with, climate and sustainability. And again, to be honest, if you're going for the business school, for example, which usually doesn't have much to do with climate and sustainability in a way, let's say for example, trying to think outside the box, I had someone from the business school who was just mostly focused on manufacturing things. So the way he could include sustainability in his work was just to say, oh, that the manufacturing thing I'm doing is to also help farmers to be able to mechanize their work better. Or he just said, oh, like I'm going to use ESG, which is make sure that my business is not harming people and planet, but is actually doing good to the planet. And the next thing about what you can include in your answer. What I did was that there's no one size fits all. So look, people are just wanting to see something unique in your essay. Just, what I said in my own essay was that, yeah, I do want to be part of the University of Edinburgh because I want to get some of the grants that they have. Secondly, I want to use their makerspace to also learn about how I can also run my own makerspace. And I also said, thirdly, I like the mentorships that they were given, so I do want to be part of those kind of mentorships. And also, most important, don't be a taker, give. I also said I have my own network and relationships that I've built over the years. And I'd be very happy to also give and share my own network with other people who need that. So that's what I did. So that answers your question. And I will just go quickly to the comment section. Sweber says, must your past or current idea be a climate change project? Sweber, we were just speaking about this one particular question, which was focused on climate change. So it would be different for other scholarships, but this one particular one, if your past work wasn't climate related, find something that is climate related in it. If you don't have any climate related thing, perhaps you're not suitable for the scholarship. Okay, I'm just gonna squeeze through the questions. Okay. Then somebody else said, please, is this leadership essay or education barrier, please? Ah, okay, love it. It's you that was asking me. Sub refer to what? Thank you so much, Sarah Sani, for answering that question. Sub means to crying and telling sub stories. Can you discuss Mastercard question for Cambridge? Okay, Mohammed, I've answered your question. Please, is there going to be a recording for this? I believe there will be recording. Does lack of professional work experience compared to research experience, especially for... No, it's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. Look, like I said, some people didn't have real life work experience, but they got the scholarship. They had more of work that they did in research or volunteer work. So there's no one size fits all shoe. Just meet the criteria in your own unique way. Please, the leadership experience. Do you have to tell everyone? No, don't tell every volunteer. How about now? Don't tell all the stories. How many words do you have? Take one and focus on something. Shoot well. Have one focus. Does this for me? Okay. I want to clarify the number of essays for the on-campus category. I'm seeing only 3. I'm not the one to answer that question. What is the best way to tie your contribution in your workplace to a project in answering the current idea? Past work leadership experience. Great. What is the best way to tie your contribution in the workplace to a project? I also want to say that when you're answering your questions, we Africans, we usually always say we. I think you should have a good balance of what you did specifically in that project and also use we sometimes to show that you're collaborative, but try and use your own thing. I contributed in this way by doing this and that. How realistic? I've answered the question. How can I link the answers from the sub questions to the flow? Also, can you help us dissect the other questions? Dorothy, this is how real life is in masters. They're not going to hold your hands. You're literally going to read papers and dissect lots of things for yourself. So I've helped dissect 2 questions, and I believe that you can, do your best as well. The best way that you learn is by practicing. So you can try and do that for the other questions as well. You're welcome, Dorothy. Can sort of try and do that for yourself as well. And then I'm applying to sustainable energy systems. I think you're on the right track, if that's what you studied. That's fine. I don't know how to raise my hand. Yeah, sorry. Press Ahmed. Sharp person. Thank you. I'm applying for the online masters in digital education. The question why you choose online learning and not the on-campus, how do I answer it? I don't know why you chose the online learning as well, but why did you choose the online learning? Me, I chose on campus because I wanted to go to Edinburgh. I want to go and meet people.
I think the course is an online course.
Oh, are you?
Yeah,
But
it's
I think,
available for only online.
okay, that may just say that it was available only online studies then. But are you sure? Okay, see, this is how the thing works. So, not are you sure? I know you're sure. But here's how it works. Some courses, yeah, the university itself is in person, but the scholarship will only fund the online version.
I think when I went to the university page and I read it, it's available online. Only
Only,
online.
not in
Yes.
person?
No.
Okay. Well, since you have chosen to go for that one, you can just okay, I've met people who legit wanted to only do online because they said that they had jobs that they didn't want to leave. So or families that they didn't want to leave. They didn't want to
Yeah, I
give
think
up.
my reasons are the same. I have job, I have families, and I don't want to leave. Yeah.
You could bring your dependent in the past. Now you can't bring your dependent again, except you're doing a research-based master's or something else. So, yeah, you could say that. And also, I knew someone who was a cattle rearer. Now, this scholarship takes every and anybody so long as you meet criteria. I met someone who was a cattle rearer who got the scholarship. Unlikely heroes, but very well deserving of this. And so he could not also leave his cows and also leave, what he was building in his village to come. So he just applied online and went online, So many very different reasons. Do you have anyone who is doing the University of Edinburgh? Yeah, there are plenty of them. There are so many, plenty. Actually, the University of Edinburgh for Mastercard, they probably have over 200 online scholars or more of 300. There's so many actually. Hope that helps you. And thank you, Maureen, for answering. We are quite close to the end of this session, but I hope I'm trying my best with the limited amount of time I have to answer everybody's questions. So, one of the essays on leadership and service tell us about a current idea or project. Please, Ma, how do you answer this one? Me, Shebi, you people, I answered this in the beginning, right? Maybe this person came late to Ugu somewhere, sorry. We answered it in the beginning of this session. We answered it somehow. Imagine someone like me with non-leadership job role. How can I translate to impact? Impact. How can I? Okay, Kingston, um, non-leadership. Yeah, I think many of us just had non-leadership too. You could just say that, just look for what you did. Let's say you're you're a shopkeeper. Now, you don't have to have done your own social project. You don't have to have, you know, started your own thing. Let's say that you're a shopkeeper, for example, you are selling something in the market, right? For another person. You can just simply say that, um, you helped keep accounts of this, and therefore you were able to, if let's say your madam or your guy was, also helping to give some free stuff to some people, you can just say that, okay, you helped to identify areas in the business that there were opportunities for growth, or if you did something, just highlight something that helped other people out. Um, Honestly, what is your advice for those who didn't make it after the interview? Okay, here's my advice for those who didn't make it after the interview. That we'll come to that later on. Yeah, this is my advice to those who didn't make it after the interview. The secret to what I do is not just about going faster, but it's to keep going, and it's just to keep going. That's just the secret. It's the power and the principle of compound effect. So just, it's not me who said it, it's a podcast I listened to. So just keep applying, you might not get it on your first try, you might get it on your second or third or something else. And learn also from what you think you failed at in the past. And that's kind of how life works at times. You knock on many doors until one opens for you. How does one write a research experience essay? I don't know how I'm supposed to answer that question, Salmi. Um, I don't really know what that means, but um, I have done my best to answer much of the questions, and it is currently 1900 o'clock. So I'm very glad that I kept to time, and I believe that this has brought me to the end of this review. This is just about, let me just, you're welcome, Dorothy. I have phobia to write essays, but I will put in the work and my best. Yeah, it's constant practice. Look, the people who have gotten these things, they don't have two heads. We don't have two heads. Um, we just kept failing, and we just kept trying. And one of the things you would also learn in leadership, have friends that you talk about your failures with. We all fail. Well, today I got a rejection email, and I was at a business workshop, and I told the people that said, "Hey, someone just sent me a rejection email, but I moved past it and we all understood each other, you know? So have people that you can share some of your success and your many of your failures with. Laugh over it, you know. High intentions, low attachments. Do your best, have the highest intention, but don't be attached to the outcome, good or bad. And you know, that's just what I would literally say. So I wish you all good luck in your applications. Um, I wish you all good luck in your applications and I wish you good luck in your I'm just reading through the chat. But yes, to respect time. Well, goodbye everybody and good luck. I will share the video in the emails. See you at the top.